Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tori if you're new here, and I'm in a little bit of a new setup. I kind of made a little office space down here, so if you don't recognize it, this is where I'm at. So today I wanted to share with you some meal ideas, and I had a poll on my community page. If you are not over there, you can access it from your phone, your computer. I believe you can't do it from the TV, but you can vote on the polls. And I do that a lot because I do truly want your input on videos because I am making the videos for you. So the poll was $5 meals or $3 meals, and both are budget friendly in my opinion. And I will address this now. I'm feeding a family of 4. I always get comments saying, well, that won't feed my family. I have a family of 8. Of course, you probably knew that going into having a family of 8 that you may have to spend more money. So I can just speak to my family of 4 right now. And those are the meals that I like to share with you. So I would like to say all of these ingredients are still going to be budget friendly. You just might have to double some recipes if you have a larger family. So I just wanted to make that disclaimer before I begin. I will start out by saying these are more main dishes, and then I want you to get creative with sides. It can be something as simple as a vegetable or something like a grain. You could do rice, a quinoa, couscous. You could make some fresh bread on the side, but those sides should maybe take $1, $1.50 from your budget. So these meals truly sit at $3.50 to $4 for a family of 4, and I did shop sales and I shopped budget ingredients. So if you haven't seen any of my videos, I do have recipes and meal challenges all on a budget. Most of my recipes, I'd say 98% of them are on a budget. It's shopping a sale, and if you're curious on how I do that, go ahead and check out some of my previous videos because I've really been focusing on that for my channel. When they tell you to focus on one thing, I think I have found that thing. So I did want to say that as well. If you are new here, we would love it if you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And without further ado, let's get right into the recipes. Our first meal is going to be breakfast for dinner. So we're going to have a sweet potato, 2 eggs or more depending on how many you have. We're going to do an assortment of beans. I just did these in the crock pot, but you could do black beans instead. We need some tortillas, and then I'm going to shred some cheese as well. And it's a breakfast for dinner burrito. You could certainly add meat to this, but keeping it under that price range, we are just adding our eggs and cheese for protein. Well, and our beans and our sweet potato. So we'll be just fine here. So I cubed the sweet potatoes up into little chunks here, and then I did just a drizzle of olive oil, I'd say about a teaspoon or 2, and then I did a little bit of water and some garlic and onion powder, and I am going to put the lid on here and we are going to let it saute until they're soft, and then we are adding our beans and eggs and also some spinach. Now I'm adding a handful of spinach. As you can see, you can add a lot and it will just shrink, so it depends how much you want to add. And then I'm going to add my beans in here. I'd say this is just a half cup. This is just what I have on hand, but again, you can add more. I lost a spud. There we go. And then you just mix that around, and I'm going to let that steam up again with the lid on. Then we'll push it to the side and add some eggs. All I did was melt some cheese on this tortilla, and now I'm just going to wrap it with my filling. And you could, if you wanted to, put some salsa, but I really love this Elevations ketchup. Good, clean ingredients, and it's super tasty. You can add some salt and pepper to this, or just wrap it and then cut it in half. You could have as many as you want here, or you could just do, you know, some fruit on the side with this. You could do like a Spanish rice to make it more dinner-like, but this is super filling and very yummy and good for you. And this is the kids' plates. They have some leftover banana and a bar and cheese, but it's just deconstructed, so it's easier for them. So we have cheese, we have the black beans, and then I tore up the tortillas, and they really enjoy it like that. It depends, you know, on your kids. The table looks super crummy, but yeah, this is dinner, super yummy. For tonight's meal, we are making some flatbreads, and the family will have chicken. I'm going to use chickpeas. This is like my style of a gyro, which is what we called it back home, but I know it's actually called a euro. We don't really typically keep lamb on hand, so we do it with chicken or beef or chickpeas for this one. So what I'm doing is just rinsing a can of chickpeas here, and I have some olive oil in there and just some Mediterranean spices. So I have some thyme in there, dill, some seasoned salt. Well, it's not there yet. Not that I'm looking at it, but I'm going to put some of those in there. Onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper. And then I like to make homemade flatbreads because I can control the ingredients. So I have just all-purpose unbleached flour. I have some olive oil. I have a little bit of baking powder for it to rise a bit, and then all I do is add some salt. I do different variations of flatbreads. You could totally do like a pumpkin flatbread, which is when you just mix some puree in there. You could do some sweet potato flatbread. That's really tasty. I've done black bean flatbread, and I've done caramelized onion, which is really yummy. Kind of turns into more of a naan though. And then I'm gonna I did save the liquid from the chickpea can, and I'm gonna make a tzatziki sauce. So just has some sour cream in there, a little bit of the aquafaba, some cucumber, I have some romaine lettuce, I have some diced tomato in there, and then I have some olives. And I'm just gonna serve it with some fruit again, but you can totally serve it with whatever you want. I'd say these meals are more like main meals that you can eat a lot of. I wouldn't say they're sides, but if you want to keep it cheap for your side, just do some rice on the side or a vegetable. Honestly, it's really easy. So I'm going to get this seasoned up, start on my flatbreads. I'm just going to pan fry those, and I will take you along.
Said hi, 'cause I was way too shy. What would have happened if you just had passed me by the night? We keep on drinking, keep on wishing for someone out there to hold. All those little moments, the bites you didn't catch me looking over your shoulder, just at the right time. Those little moments all led me to you. Only God knew about all those little moments. Well, maybe it was fate or a part of his plan. Giving me you was like giving me another chance. Thank God that you said hi, 'cause I was way too shy. What would have happened if you just had passed me by the night?
Hey friends, tonight's dinner we are making a chicken corn chowder, chicken for the family, and then just extra beans for me. I actually don't even know if I'm going to have some. This pineapple looks really delicious, and that's what I'm feeling tonight in this pregnancy. So what you're going to need for the chowder is some potato, some sweet corn, some bell pepper, and then some beans. I'm just using some assorted beans that I did the other day in my crock pot, but I'm going to make this soup on the stove. And then for the creamy element, you're going to use some veggie stock and just a little bit of milk, or you could use heavy cream. I don't really thicken this. I let the potato do that. And if it's not thick enough, I actually add powdered potato, and that seems to help it thicken up. You could, of course, do a cornstarch slurry if you wanted to, but pulled chicken is the best in this. It's kind of like a white chicken chili, but you're adding your corn. So it depends how you make things. I'm just going to put all this in a pot, and I'll catch up with you in a little bit. So this is what the pot is looking like right now. We have all the ingredients except for the cream and the chicken, but I'm just going to let this simmer so everything thaws out. Here's what I have going on the side. So I do have some cheese I'm going to shred up as a garnish, and then I do have chicken for everybody. I'm just going to ladle out some for me tomorrow or something. But the way I guess you can call it, like, temper my milk is just pour my creaminess of choice. So right now I'm just using whole milk. And then I put about a tablespoon or two of the soup liquid. And this is what it looks like right now. And that way it just warms up the milk a little bit. I'm pretty sure you could just warm this in the microwave if you wanted to, that milk. But I don't want it to completely curdle, I guess, if I put it directly in there. So I'll just show you how I do that quick. So I've turned down the heat, I added the chicken and then added a little bit of seasoned salt in here. I'm going to cover it and let this simmer for around 10 to 12 minutes, and then you should be good to serve. And then for me, I just ladled out some for myself for tomorrow or later or whenever I feel like eating it. And that's an easy way to go vegetarian, vegan in a recipe. Just make the exact same thing literally, and then just add your meats and dairies. You could totally use coconut or almond milk instead of regular milk for this. Here are the kids' plates. I ended up just melting some cheese into the actual soup itself. And then that flatbread from the other night ended up making 16. I just doubled the batch. Of course, everything will be typed out in the description. I am serving it with some pineapple, and this is dinner. Super easy, very cheap. Again, you could serve it with some rice or whatever you want, but bread is a good way to go. Cornbread is really good with this if you want to double up on the corn. But fruit is an awesome side, and so are vegetables. Soup is very hearty, and it can be made into leftovers, and that's what's important here. Hey friends, tonight we are making a classic staple, and that is going to be chicken and waffles, but instead we're going to be using some sausage just because it's a little on the cheaper side, especially if you get those Johnsonville smoked sausages. You could just use maybe one or two of the pack, and that will bring you down to, $1.50 per meal per serving, if that makes sense. Well, I guess not per serving, but this is serving 4 people. So I am going to do like a bean gravy, and then the rest of the family is going to do this sausage gravy. But it comes under $4, and we love chicken and waffles. We grew up around it. You would go to a fire hall back in Pennsylvania, and you could have them unlimited, but it's a pretty common staple. So essentially what it is a waffle, like a savory waffle. I don't add sugar or vanilla. So essentially a pancake batter, and what you do is add your meat and gravy on top of it, and you can serve it with mashed potatoes if you want to. You don't have to. So there is where your side comes in. I've been trying to factor in sides for these meals, but this one's easy. So in here, I just have a cup of flour. I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I have 1 teaspoon of salt. And then over here, I have 3/4 cup of milk. And then I have 1 egg. And then over here, I'm just going to melt about 1/4 a stick of butter. And then, this is a half a stick, and then I'm going to use half of it for the actual mixture, and then the other half just to do a drizzle or something for the gravy. But yeah, this is really easy. It comes down, again, to a really cheap meal, and I'm going to make everything on my mini waffle maker because that's all I have. But yeah, please remember that everything is typed out in the description box for you. Okay, so now that you have your meat cooked, we use bratwurst. If you need it to taste more sausage-like, just add some caraway seeds and sage, but I just added some salt and pepper. And what I'm gonna do now is just add flour directly into this. And I'm just gonna eyeball it because I know, but I'd say maybe a 1/4 cup of flour, nothing wild. You can do this with chicken. If you are more of a fish person, I've even had like a salmon gravy, which is unique. I've done this with beans. I've also done this with plant-based sausage, so vegan people, you can do that. I've just been trying to stay away from the replacement meats recently. You could also make your own with TVP, but that's a soy product, so that's up to you. And you're just going to want to try and get all that grease away, I mean from your eyes, because it's never gonna truly go away. And then from here, you're gonna add, now this is debatable, you could add a cup of cream of soup, you could add, you know, heavy whipping cream, but I'm gonna add a little bit of water and then a little bit of milk. So I'd say a 1/2 cup of water, and then some more pepper. And you'll notice that it will start to thicken, and that's how I make my gravy. It's pretty basic. There's nothing crazy involved here. My dad uses cream of soup for his sausage gravy. That's his secret ingredient I'm allowed to tell you about. But I mean, you could really do anything here. So I'm gonna let this simmer and thicken up a bit and then finish the waffles. Alrighty everyone, that is going to do it for today's video. I hope this inspired you to cook some meals on the cheap for your family. A lot of them were cooking from scratch, and a lot of them were utilizing some savings and some budgeting tools that I have been practicing for a little over 12 years now. Ever since I've really been on my own, I was raised this way, so I'm bringing that into my family now. If you're ever curious about how I do this, check out my videos, or you could just email me and I will email you back some tips and tricks on how to make this work. Inflation is very real. It's affecting all of us. And I think a lot of us can agree we need to be saving some money, especially when it comes to feeding our family. I will say this week we have some new videos coming. I used to do prepper style content. It is going to be very similar to that content. I'm excited to be back. I'm back in the game, but we're calling it something different. I'm going to call it my backup pantry, because that's truly what it is. It is a functioning pantry though as well, so you might see me taking from it, but in these videos I will show you long-term food storage, how I do that. I will show you some short-term food storage, and it's all about positivity. It's not supposed to be daunting. It's not supposed to be something that you should fear. It's just something that will help you save some money and have food just in case of an emergency. Of course, there will be other things that we will be talking about when it comes to preparing your family for an emergency. So I hope you stay tuned. Again, if you're new here, I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button. As always, stay adventurous, stay creative. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, y'all.